close. In his September speech to the UN General Assembly, President Trump expressed disdain for the Iran deal created under President Obama and noted that the world hadn't heard the last of it. USA Today: Iran could withdraw from the nuclear deal it brokered with 6 world powers if the United States does the same, the Speaker of the nation's parliament said Friday. Ali Larijani made the statement to reporters while on a visit to Russia. "Certainly, that's a possibility," he said. According to Russian news agency TASS, Larijani was asked the question about Iran's commitment to the nuclear accord ahead of a speech by President Trump expected to contain harsh criticism of the deal. Trump will formally announce his decision to decertify the agreement, a first step toward gutting the deal. However, aides said Trump is willing to consider an additional agreement that would pressure Tehran to prove it has given up the means to make nuclear weapons. More analysis: what Trump's move on the Iran deal means. More Trump to decertify Iran nuclear deal. Larijani said any move to scrap the agreement brokered between Iran, the US, Britain, France, Germany, Russia and China would represent an insult to the UN. The international organization was instrumental in securing the deal under which Iran agreed to limit its nuclear program in exchange for the lifting of sanctions. They seem to have begun certain movements which in the long run will cause a lack of order on the international arena, Larijani said in Russia during a meeting with Vladimir Volodin, the Speaker of the Russian Parliament's lower house, TASS reported. The proof of the sanctions, which they have announced against Iran and against Russia, as well as the measures they recently began undertaking in relation to the nuclear deal with Iran, he added. President Trump signed a new package of sanctions against Russia, Iran and North Korea in August. More Trump to decertify Iran nuclear deal. More analysis: Trump backs away from Iran deal but doesn't break it. In his announcement Friday, Trump, who has called the accord an embarrassment to the United States, will also ask Congress not to reimpose economic sanctions right away. Instead, he will call for new requirements on Iran in an effort to fix the agreement, said officials speaking on condition of anonymity pending the president's formal remarks. "We believe this agreement is an important instrument to prevent a nuclear-armed Iran," German government spokesman Steffen Seibert said Friday, Deutsche Welle reported. "If an important country like the United States comes to a different conclusion, as appears to be the case, we will work even harder with other partners to maintain this cohesion," he said. Kate Hudson, General Secretary of the Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament, a UK-based organization, said the Iran nuclear deal was a remarkable achievement. Rather than seeing this as a model for future engagement, as a way forward for solving complex problems like that of the Korean Peninsula, President Trump plans to sabotage the deal, opening the door to nuclear proliferation and military conflict. "This is a tragic misuse of power," she said. "The world faces enormous existential global challenges, like climate change. This is the time for states to work together, to cooperate, not to take unilateral, confrontational actions that risk reducing our planet to a radioactive wasteland." Trump's failed certification of the Iran nuclear deal is a politically motivated and self-destructive act that risking undoing years of careful diplomatic efforts, said Trita Parsi, president of the National Iranian-American Council. Trump has failed to commit that the U.S. will stay true to its word and abide by the deal. This opens the door for Iran to respond in kind by also threatening to renege on its commitments lest the US gives it additional concessions. "This is a recipe for disaster," Norbert Röttgen, chairman of the German Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee, said. Keeping faith to an agreement is absolutely fundamental in international diplomacy. And this is exactly what the president is putting into question, The Washington Post reported. Röttgen added that a failure to back the deal would have a disastrous consequence with regard to the Middle East. Perhaps a nuclear race would be ignited. It would drive a real wedge into international relations between the US and Europe. And it would make North Korea even more complicated because the credibility of the United States would suffer. Trump faced a Sunday deadline to certify that Iran is compliant of the 2015 agreement, a step that is required every 90 days. A decision to decertify will come despite officials saying Iran has technically held up its end of the bargain. More Iran nuclear deal: what's at stake for U.S. allies? More President Trump signs new Russia sanctions. Contributing David Jackson read or shared this story. https://usat.ly2yip